Hi, I'm Daryl Breland, and I'm doing business as Breland Benefits and Insurance. Before you decide whether you want to invest your time and energy in becoming a Breland Benefits agent, I thought you might want to know a little bit about me, where I came from, what I've learned along the way, and why I've created this FastTrack program that you're about to see. But first, I'm going to transform into my digital clone so that you get used to seeing this version of me. Not because I'm trying to be deceptive, but because this is a far more productive method of producing training and marketing videos. I first started my career in the financial services industry in 1990 as a life insurance agent and an investment advisor with Raymond James Financial. And I struggled. Boy, was it hard. My first year was not easy at all. But fortunately, my father-in-law at the time owned a company which is a third-party administrator for self-insured employer health plans, also known as ERISA plans. That opened a door for me. I began working with business owners, our current clients, initially offering them financial planning and investment services. That led naturally into 401k plans because I was already working with employers and employee benefits. Before long, those same business owners started asking me about health insurance. One thing led to another. Over the years, I built a substantial financial services and employee benefits business. But then I did something I probably wouldn't recommend you do. I decided the grass might be greener on the other side. So I developed a hobby of building houses, and I got the bug. I sold my investment business, stepped away from insurance, and thankfully I kept my license. But I went into the real estate business, building homes, developing subdivisions, and starting up a real estate brokerage firm. And I did it in a big way. Over about a dozen years, I built more than 200 high-end homes, many of them large custom homes. I got to ride the real estate boom all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom, back down. By the time I was 50, though, I found myself having to start all over again. And when I say start over, I mean start over. I had 2 children in high school, and within a couple of years, they were in college. Money was extremely tight. For all practical purposes, I was homeless. The only reason I had a place to stay was during that period was for the benevolence and generosity of a good friend of mine, somebody I still consider an angel in my life. I don't tell you that because I enjoy talking about it. I tell you because some of you watching this may be struggling right now. Maybe you're changing careers. Maybe you've had a business fail. Maybe you're retired and discovered that retirement isn't quite as financially comfortable as you expected. Maybe you're younger and just haven't found your direction yet. Whatever your circumstances are, I understand what it's like to look at your life and say, okay, what do I do now? When I decided to rebuild my insurance business, I had to borrow $5,000 at a high interest rate. I jokingly call it my loan shark loan. And while I was trying to get the business going, I did whatever I had to do. I tried selling cars on the weekends, and I was definitely not good at that at all, so it didn't last long. I waited tables, nights, and weekends, and I'll tell you, it was pretty humbling to be 50 years old, serving people and hoping they'll leave me a tip, when some of those same people were people who I had signed their paychecks just a few weeks before. But years later, when I was 22 years earlier, when I was 22 years old and fresh out of college, somebody once told me something I'll never forget. If you learn how to sell, you'll never be unemployed. He was right. I've been self-employed for most of my adult life, and I've always joked that sometimes the only difference between being self-employed and unemployed is that unemployment comes with benefits. But I knew how to sell. And more importantly, I knew that selling was a skill that can be learned. I thought about all the training I've had over the years: formal sales training, Dale Carnegie courses, corporate training programs, financial services training, and decades of actually sitting across the table from real people trying to earn their business. And I made a decision. I was going to take everything that I had learned over all those years and apply it systematically to rebuilding my insurance business. No distractions. I was going to treat it like a job. I got up early. I planned my week. I planned every day. I decided exactly who I was going to contact and what I was going to accomplish. And then I went to work. The result surprised me. In my first 30 days back in the business, I generated over $20,000 in first year's commissions. Now, I'm not telling you that you're going to make $20,000 your first month. I had years of sales experience and an established network of contacts. Your circumstances will be different. And there's no guarantees in this business. I'm telling you this because the process worked. And that process is what I want to teach you. And that's why I created this FastTrack training program. I'm going to teach you what I believe a new agent needs to know to build a real insurance business, not just how to memorize products. We'll talk about how this business works, how to identify opportunities, how to find prospects, how to qualify them, how to have a productive conversation, how to prepare and present solutions, how to deal with objections, how to follow up, how to take an application correctly, and something I consider extremely important, how to take care of people after the sale. We'll also talk about something that no product or brochure can ever teach you, how to think like a successful salesperson and business owner. And one thing I want to stop right there and say to you, if you are thinking I'm not a salesperson, don't think of yourself as a salesperson. Think of yourself as somebody who wants to genuinely help others. That's it. Forget about trying to sell somebody something. And in 2027, there's another part of building a successful business that I believe we have to talk about. Technology. Technology is changing this business incredibly fast, and artificial intelligence is going to change it even more. I'm investing heavily in artificial intelligence and automation to make Breland Benefits more efficient. And you're going to hear me talk about Opal, my AI assistant that I'm developing for Breland Benefits. Opal is being designed to help with things like marketing, prospect follow-up, answering and routing calls, client service, administrative tasks, and other areas where technology can help us work smarter. I don't intend to keep everything I'm learning for myself. And as these capabilities develop, I intend to make some of them available to Breland Benefit agents when practical and appropriate. That might mean giving you access to certain services through Breland Benefits. It might mean having Opal assist with particular marketing or client service functions. Or it might simply mean teaching you how to use some of the same technology to build your own systems. I'll also be sharing what I'm learning through training, my podcast called Papa D's Corner, which is also a YouTube channel. And I also have a Breland Benefits YouTube channel. So if you're interested in using artificial intelligence automation in your own business, hopefully I can shorten the learning curve for you too. But I want to be careful not to overpromise today about technology that may be completely different a year from now. Technology changes rapidly. Costs change, capabilities change, and tools and services Breland Benefits makes available to individual agents may change as well. Access to particular AI services, automation, marketing assistance, or other technology may depend on availability, cost, production, business needs, and other factors. So my goal isn't to make you dependent on Opal. My goal is to help you become a better, more efficient, and more competitive insurance professional, and to give you access to the best tools and knowledge I can reasonably provide along the way. And that brings me to something else I need you to understand before we start. I can show you what to do. I cannot do it for you. I can teach you the process. I can share what's worked for me. I can help you avoid mistakes that took me years to learn from. But I can't give you determination. That's going to have to come from you. I believe there are things you absolutely need. You need to believe what you are offering. You need to believe in yourself. You need to approach every prospect with the attitude that your job is to help somebody, not to sell somebody. If you truly understand what and believe in what you're offering, believe that it can improve somebody's situation, and are willing to consistently put in the work necessary to find the people you can help, I believe you have an opportunity to build something substantial. But I don't want to mislead you about the time involved. If your goal is to build a substantial full-time income, approach this like a real job. Give yourself time to build your clientele, your knowledge, your confidence, and very importantly, your recurring revenue. That's where this business becomes really interesting. Over time, you're not necessarily starting from zero every January. You're building relationships and a book of business. And as that recurring income grows, it can give you something that's very difficult to put a price on: freedom. Freedom to control your schedule, freedom to travel, freedom to spend your time doing other things you enjoy, like my hobbies. And for somebody who's already retired or approaching retirement, this business can provide an opportunity to remain productive, help people, and potentially supplement retirement income without necessarily building a traditional 9-to-5 career. I know this because I've lived different versions of all these things. I've succeeded, I've failed, I've had to start over, and I've learned an awful lot along the way. This FastTrack program is my attempt to take those lessons and shorten the learning curve for you. If you're already a Breland Benefits agent, welcome aboard. And if you're watching this because you're considering joining us, take your time and decide whether this is something you're willing to take seriously. Because if you decide to do this, I'll do everything reasonably I can to help you learn this business and give you the tools to succeed. And if you're ready to continue, the next video is getting started. That's where the Fast Track program begins. If what you've heard today makes sense, but you would like some personal guidance based on your own situation, give me a call at the number you see on the screen. When you call, you'll first speak with Opal, my personal assistant. Now, Opal happens to be powered by artificial intelligence, but please don't let that concern you. Anything you share with her is private and is used exclusively by Breland Benefits to help me assist you. Opal will ask you a few basic questions about yourself and what you're looking for, and there's a good reason for that. It helps me determine ahead of time whether I'm likely to be able to help you, and if I can, I'll already have the information I need to make our conversation more productive and avoid wasting your time. So, if you'd like some personal guidance, just give me a call. And speaking of Opal, I think she'd like to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Opal, and yes, I'm the one you'll talk with when you first call Breland Benefits. I promise I'm pretty easy to talk to, and I'll sound just like I do right now. I'll ask you some basic questions so Daryl can better understand your situation before the two of you talk. The sort of basic stuff that Daryl will need to know ahead of time, whether or not he can help you. And anything you share with me is handled privately for Breland Benefits. It isn't something I'm sharing with other AI systems or putting into some worldwide AI database. Depending on what you need, I may also help get some additional information to you so Daryl has what he needs to properly review your situation. So when you're ready, give me a call. I'll get you started, and I promise I don't bite.
Breland Benefits Fast Track. Learn, grow, succeed.